28 months down, yeah, the industry's been bruised, but we're not here to fold, we're here to refuse. While others pause, we built the plays, now we're leading the charge in a brand new phase. You feel that tension, that's the pressure to grow. Hiring's messy, turnovers high and budgets low, but we don't panic, we adapt. We sharpen the edge and reload the map. This is the staffing playbook, strategy on tap. Steven brings the grit, G Money brings the slap. Forget the fluff, forget the spin. We give you plays that actually win. From the break room floor to the boardroom seat, we've walked the walk, now we bring the heat. CDLs, forklifts, line leads, and execs. We place the best and fix the wrecks. Insight, hustle, leadership bold. No safe takes, just the truth told cold. Wanna scale your team, wanna close that gap. We got the data, the story, and the roadmap. So turn it up, lock it in. This is more than a podcast, it's a win. This is the staffing playbook. Let's get to work, it starts right now.
Welcome back to the Staffing Playbook Podcast. I'm Steve Farrell. I am joined by my amazing co-host, John Viev.
Hello! Look where I am today.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Who let you into my studio? Like this is
well,
not
let's
acceptable.
be honest. I found a pair
Steven,
of
looks like she
keys on the
kicked you out.
floor, had them copied, and just let myself in.
It's cool. So John Viev is in town. We're doing a huge marketing workshop for our ICP. We've last year we identified our ICP, we interviewed our ICP, we had our ICP posted on the halls of our office, and now we're reevaluating our ICP and asking ourselves what's changed, and how are we going to move forward marketing to our ideal customer profile. So today we're kicking off another insightful conversation in our special bi-weekly series on staffing trends, featuring our regular industry experts, Kim Henderson and Richard Rosner, the staffing shark. Richard, Kim, welcome back.
Whoa. Hey guys, where's the memo? I thought it was Tank Top Thursdays.
Tank Top
I
Thursday.
missed the memo.
Man.
It's funny because
Guess I'm the only one.
It's so hot here, right? But it's like more humid on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but the office is freezing. So I'm like, oh, in a sweatshirt today.
You know what, Steve-O? That should say the staffing playbook, the staffing playhouse with her.
Yeah, don't touch anything in there, John Viev.
Oh, I'm going to break everything.
Oh God, there goes the light blinking back and forth.
Oh, no, you should have seen me in here yesterday. We were on a call. And so I moved one of his chairs and like one of the things like came out from underneath and then I like knocked over the lamp and I'm like, I'm breaking everything.
Oh.
That's why he doesn't want me to break anything.
Look, Kim, you got a supporter up this early, ready for you to
Wow. Go ahead, KIM.
Wow.
Oh,
All right.
Here's the thing. This is a really important topic to us, and especially for Kim. This is something she's been talking about for a while and wanted to bring it up here on the podcast, and that's ageism in the job market. Ageism remains one of the most persistent barriers in 2025's labor market. There's multiple surveys that show that a strong majority of mid-career or older career workers still feel that age is a disadvantage when applying for jobs.
well, instead of using the word older, why don't we
Mature.
go in more mature or experienced? Okay, you know what I mean?
Mature adults.
Seasoned.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like mature guys because I'm in that age crap and I'm
Yeah,
mature.
but you're not mature, so that's
Only by age. Ooh.
Maybe the line of the show. Okay.
So here's the thing.
Someone
studies-
gave me permission to touch everything.
Yeah, that was Nick, our on-site manager there. Thanks, Nick. So there was Forbes studies, My Perfect Resume 2025 study. They found that workers over 40 have faced some form of workplace ageism, ranging from stereotypes to even bullying. 92% felt pressure to hide their age. So I thought that was interesting. And then there was a CWI lab survey reports that 59% of job seekers that are 50 years or older believe their age hinders their job search. And 81% think employers favor younger applicants. So, the data shows this steep drop off in opportunities for more mature candidates, Richard, or seasoned. I like that, Kim. Almost half of recruiters, so think about recruiters, this is our space, consider applicants too old by the age of 57, and 2/5 admit to being pressured to hire younger candidates, and nearly 2/3 of HR professionals acknowledge making assumptions about age. So, as the labor force ages, 1 in 4 workers will be over 55 by 2028. So these stereotypes are economically, damaging, and age discrimination is costing the economy probably over 800 billion annually. So,
And that just has an EEOC lawsuit written all over it.
right.
It really
Oh,
does.
it does big time.
It's like, discrimination, that's awful. Like,
Well, here's the
and
thing
that's
is, what Steven said on all that data is negative beliefs. It's all negative. It's not the facts. I'm going to be honest with you. At the end of the day, let's just start with this. And Kim, you can chime in on this stuff. Is what's all mature candidates, they think this is what happens to them in the beginning. Overqualified, too expensive, not a culture fit. They go into the interview already negative because of everything Steve said is true, but it's this negative belief. At the end of the day, you know what? We don't care about your experience. We got to stay with the trends, which we're going to talk about today. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to build value. It's not talking about your past. Your experience in the past, that's in the past. Employers want to know what you can do now and in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good segue. Let's talk about some things that employers can do to culturally kind of get past this, right, or make it better from their standpoint. And then let's talk about things that people as candidates can actually do, right? Because let's face it, it's almost like pardon the pun, we didn't write the playbook, right? But it's kind of where we are. So let's see what we can do to kind of get out of it and move forward and kind of get past it. So, Stephen, you had a great stat. You had a lot of great stats. But one thing that hit me was I read, they said, Pew Research, 34% of the U.S. workforce is 50 plus now. And it was actually only 24% back in the year 2000. So it's almost like, it's growing. People are staying in the workforce longer. And here's something that really opened my eyes. So 36% of 55 plus are long-term unemployed, meaning 27 weeks or more. So if you're between the age of 55 and 64, you will spend on average, if you're looking for a job, 54.3 weeks unemployed. So that's basically a year of unemployment if you're 55 to 64, which is almost, beyond unheard of, right? We talk about it on our last segment of new college grads. This is kind of the other end of the spectrum, right? In terms of struggling to get jobs. So, and Shark, you gave me a great segue. What are some of the things? Okay, let's look at you as a candidate, right? Let's say you're 60, right? What are some of the things that you can do? And one of the first things I think is, I've seen people in our industry, guys, time and time again, they get in this rut, and the only difference between a rut and a grave is the size of the hole. They don't go out and get certifications, educate themselves, continually training themselves and upskilling, gaining new tools in the toolkit. And let's face it, guys, there's almost no excuse for not doing that, right? Because you've got all these things out there. You've got, webinars, seminars, all kinds of certs, things that you can do on your own if your employer's not doing it to go and better your skill set. So someone's not looking at a resume going, oh, wow, this guy's a COBOL developer or a Power Builder developer, and you're going OLD, disqualified, right? So that's the first thing I think that people can do. Second, I think, and again, Shark, you touched on it. Don't show someone a resume that's a laundry list of duties and responsibilities that you've been doing for 35 years, right? Number one, only show the most recent 15, I'd say maximum 20 years, because that's a little bit more relevant. But show results and impact. What did you do? What did you accomplish? Quantify it, put numbers to it, because let's face it, anyone who's hiring or wants to hire, they're looking at how can you as a candidate solve their business problem. And a list of duties and responsibilities just tells me what you were supposed to do. It doesn't tell me if you were actually any good at it, right? So to reframe your resume, results, impact, accomplishments, things that you brought to the table and accomplished at your prior employer, and put numbers to it if you can. That's going to be a more compelling story than, managed 15 people, blah, blah, blah.
Over the course of 15 years.
You summed it up so good, Kim. And you know what it is? Prove career evolution and growth.
Yes.
Evolution over your time span. That is, what have you done the last 3 years, 4 years? Besides that, I mean, come on, 20 years ago, AI wasn't around, so nobody gives two shits about that. And I think, to be honest with you guys, before we all chime in here, is at the end of the day, the mature audience, or whatever we're going to call them, I love y'all peeps because I'm just right there with you. But long story short is they're all, all the negative stuff. We can keep saying it over and over again. They go into these interviews with a negative view already. So here's my tidbit. Get yourself a career coach. It's a Gen Z or somebody younger than you to pump you up, prep you up for this, because I'm going to tell you, most people I talk to that's over 50, I'm washed up. No, you're not. Can I do a scenario? I'm from Pittsburgh. We got Aaron Rodgers. He's 41 years old. He's going to be the starting quarterback. He's competing against young kids that are 20 years old, and he's kicking their tails. So guess what? You know what? You can do the same thing too. You know what? At the end of the day, you have to execute.
Yeah. And a couple more things on resumes I see. And guys, this is, I guess, a lot of observations of folks that are coming to me saying, hey, I'm out of a job, and they're falling in that, upper 50s and 60s category. Number one, you got to ditch the AOL and the Hotmail address, right? Let's kind of leave that back and
Kim, stay with Yahoo instead, right?
Wait, I have a Hotmail email. What's wrong with that?
Oh, you still have one, Steve?
I've made fun of him for this before.
Yeah,
I'm like, you got to get rid of the Hotmail.
Exactly. And hey, Shark, you and I fall into this category, right? Of people like,
hey, speak for yourself, Cam. Speak for yourself.
We fall into it. We're going to keep it quiet. We won't release our ages.
I'm only 38.
We see it. But to your point, you still have a lot of gas in the tank, and you have a lot to offer because you have so much experience and have accomplished so much. It's really all about presentation and showing how you can solve the client's problems. But beyond that, too, you don't necessarily need to put a date of when you graduated from college, right? Because people can do math pretty darn quickly in their head. We can leave it off, just say that you have that degree or whatever it is. And again, don't give me a run-on 5-page resume of things that you did, back in 1992, because it's not really relevant anymore, right? Focus on the last 15 years or so and showcasing those pieces to it. So I think, again, just a few things there. And then, guys, all right, I'm gonna step into some touchy territory here, right?
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not saying that when we go on an interview, if someone is 60, that they need to try to look like they're 25 because you're going to look ridiculous. But what I'd say is, I had a woman came to me years ago, and she was a treasurer, and she was looking to kind of get her next role. Very accomplished, very smart. I mean, sharp as a tack. She's one of these people, man, you would not want to tangle with. She knew her stuff. But as time went on, here it was. She was kind of walking with a cane. She, we could tell that her health was kind of getting a little, sketchy from a standpoint of a few things. So what I'd say is, look, don't try to look 25 if you're 65. But again, go in there, put your best foot forward, professionalism, looking like you're somewhat, we'll call it current, part of the times. And that you've moved forward and kind of evolved, right? Versus kind of going in there and embracing what was, 1987. Right?
Okay, Kim, time out real quick. I still wear Abercrombie shirts. Does that count? Come on, man.
I'm not saying look ridiculous, right?
Hey, you can pull off whatever you can. I got to tell you real quick.
You have to evolve, right? You have to evolve. Yes. And take a peek at yourself. If you appear unprofessional, right? Or like that, one guy I interviewed one time, and he's sitting there and he got up in the middle of the interview to go downstairs and smoke a cigarette. I'm saying to myself, wow, this isn't like, 1979. You don't get up in the middle of an interview to go outside and smoke a cigarette. I mean, again, it's all about common sense and presentation and things like that. Because, guys, again, I didn't write the playbook, but there is an essence of people make a determination or develop an impression of you, be it right or wrong, in terms of what you look like. So, again, just kind of stay current, stay professional. and move forward and evolve. Again, not saying try to look like you're 20, but it has to be
At
said.
the end of the day, ask your grandkids what you should wear. Seriously, at the end of the day, have somebody younger tell you what to wear, because they'll pull that jacket out from 1991, has varsity jacket on it, and wear it to the
Varsity jacket. Yes, don't wear your Letterman's
like
jacket
the shoulder pads, the
into
big shoulder
interview,
pads and the
right?
suits. Like, no, we don't do that anymore. That was back in the
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah,
Like, and
no,
seriously,
you're right.
if you're trying to go and I don't know, like get a new job, you want to dress to impress, because first impressions matter, right? They really do.
They do.
People will look at you first. And the thing is, it's like, if you are in this age range, go find yourself a nice like interview like outfit. Okay.
Right.
Have a nice couple set of blouses, have some nice good tailored blazers.
Yeah.
Like if you're a female, skirts, or like, like the sheath dresses or slacks. Men, good slacks. Make sure like they're not too baggy, they're not too tight. You like,
yeah.
And
Hold
also,
on now.
here's one of those things.
Form-fitting.
I also always, I'm like, polish your shoes. No,
Yes, shoes are just like wheels on a car, chrome wheels, chrome them up.
Yep. Nope. And that's like one of those things. Like I lived in Manhattan for so long, you could tell so much about someone by their shoes. No, it's very good.
That is actually a great point, and people tend to kind of forget that is the last thing, but it is something you notice that does
something else we're missing out on, and this is not necessarily a joke, and I've had people say this: do not put a lot of church perfume on or a lot of cologne. I see older people they splash so much on, and I've seen hiring managers say, "Wow, that person smelled like just like." Took my breath away. I couldn't even talk. So
interesting. It's so funny that you said that, because personally, I have to say I love perfume. Right? I mean, it's just like one of those things.
Okay, Kim, what's your favorite perfume? Give it to us. Since you're mature.
Right. On an interview, go easy. You don't want to give anyone a reason to disqualify you. I mean, it can be something so simple as that, right? Or like someone's shoes, or again, too much cologne. And again, guys, it does sound unfair, right? But it's just one of those things about first impressions. Start in the neutral territory, as I always say. Start neutral, right there at the origin of the X and Y axis. Don't start negative because you're poorly dressed. Your shoes are all beat up with dirt on them, or
you know what?
Or you smell like you smell like the makeup counter at Macy's.
Karate.
Yeah, but guys, okay, this goes further. All right, so we're talking about the candidate, right, and being able, spending your downtime well, going out there, educating yourself, maybe getting a cert, taking classes, showcasing your, results and accomplishments. But let's flip it around to the employer side, right? What are some of the things the employer can do to maybe kind of get their culture, moving in the right direction, right? Because now we've got from Gen Z all the way to baby boomers in the environment. And one thing I'd say is, and I find this a lot, is start a culture of, I would say, group panel interviews, right? Because let's face it, we're all guilty of when we interview someone, it's almost like we gravitate to the person that's most like we are. It's just one of those natural things that we don't try to do, but it happens. Try to get a panel interview in there that's comprised of, people from different generations, maybe different backgrounds and all that. So you don't have maybe one person that goes, oh, I don't know, this guy's 60, he's too old. I don't know that I want to hire him. Get a diverse group of interviewers, and it kind of dilutes, I think, any type of stereotype. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think that's fantastic, because like that's going to go and help out with like diversification, but also like levels out the playing field, but also watching how people interact with one another within it. Because if you notice all the Gen Zs are sticking with the Gen Zs, maybe that's not going to be a great cultural fit. And you know what I mean? Like you want to make sure like people are working and like talking with one another and on a respectful level. And that's a great observation, especially if you're going to be hiring. You want to watch and see how these people are interacting with one another. And also a piece of advice, if you all have to go out to a lunch, don't go sit separately. Don't. I know someone with a horror story of that, and they didn't get the job.
So before, if it's okay, guys, before we get to the employer side, because it's really good tips, Kim and John Villa.
I've got one more on the candidate side, Steve.
Good. I've got some too I want to discuss with you guys. So the hygiene, the way you dress, all that's really important. But I think because I help a lot of these candidates, they call me, they want a job, they're having struggles. And so one thing that is really clear is the large portion of this group, which is really cool. They've been with one or two companies the last 20, 30 years, right? And so they don't know how to interview. They don't know what an updated resume should look like. They come in with these thick cardstock and a cover letter, and they've got this big binder next to them and a big notepad, and they got their glasses down like this. You know, it's
Quit making fun of me.
you have to be prepared on all levels for the interview. Updated resume. Don't come with all of this stuff. Keep it very simple. A little notepad maybe. But you have got to learn how to interview again, to be interviewed. And, you know, there's companies like topresume.com where you can hire an interview coach for, you know, $60 an hour. There's lots of other resources out there, including staffing agencies and career coaches. But you've got to invest the time. If you're going to be unemployed, if what the data shows, you're going to be unemployed for a year or longer, you want to cut that time in half, cut it in a quarter, cut it to a month. Like, go and invest in getting your resume updated, invest in your interview skills, get a career coach so you can go there and speak the lingo and know how to answer the questions. Because look, you haven't practiced. You've been out of practice in being interviewed, which is phenomenal. Like, I love that, but a lot of employers don't see it that way. And so invest the time on yourself to interview well. That would be another tip I would give.
Hey, real quick, I'm gonna push back on this a little bit, guys, because I'm in that age group and I'm supporting them. I know a lot of people that are mature are rock stars at interviews. They are fucking bad. Yeah. Excuse my language, badass. So I know we do this negative view of that they're out of touch. I know so many that can just go and just roll with it, you know, and they're getting jobs there. There's that small percentage it still is out of touch, but there's a lot of people still in touch. I think our data is sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's some run wrong. I see a lot of mature people that I work with that are getting jobs. They're crushing it over the Gen Zs right now. And I put them both to work. I mean, they know how to talk because it's like a beer chat, coffee chat. Their whole life, they know how to talk.
Yeah.
So when you get that interview, they light it up.
You just made the point, Richard, because those are the ones that get it. They're in practice, right? But there's a large segment, the data shows it. There's a large segment that is out of touch, is using your words. They just don't remember how to interview well, and they're not up to date with their resume.
One thing that could be helpful too, right? And I think this has gone by the wayside, and especially I think with COVID is, so assume you've been in the workforce for, 30 years. You have an amazing network of people that that you really should be tapping into, right? So what I'd say is, please, I beg you, don't just contact somebody once every 8 years when you need a job. That happens to me all the time. I know it happens to you guys, and you're like, oh gosh, genuinely take an interest in and stay in touch with your network. So you're just not calling them when you want or need something, right? So putting that aside, get out there, tap on your network, associates that you've worked with, ask them for introductions, ask them to help you. And by the way, guys, no matter what if you're in a professional skill set, there's always professional associations in your area that you can go and join. Go to a meetup, go to a lunch, get yourself in front of people, shake their hand, build a rapport, build some relationships, because you're going to move the needle all the faster and cut down that 54.3 weeks by being out there and networking in person. Online is great, and we have to do it online. But remember, think about networking, who you know, who you've worked with, get in front of them, ask for their help, go to professional association meetings, and start to kind of showcase what you have. It's going to be much better than sending your resume into the black hole of death, right? From applying online. And I think people today don't do enough in-person.
100%. And Kim, you hit it right on the head about that real quick, is mental health. Seriously, when you lose your job, you need support. If it's a therapist, it's okay, because I'm going to tell you, most job seekers, especially at a certain age, their self-worth is like, they feel like they're just down and out. There's like, I can't get anything. This is it. My life's over. So please grab the support systems, especially if you're a staffing firm. I'm going to call staffing firms out real quick here. You should be prepping these candidates for their interview. Yes. They should have a career coach. If they're hiring a career coach and still going through you're not doing your job, my peeps. You should prep every candidate and get them pumped up for that interview.
Yes. That's our job, is to prep people for interviews.
Yeah.
Right? And sit there and role play with them. Okay, if you're asked this, how would you respond? And then coach them through it. That's part of the service that we provide as a staffing recruitment company. So again, yeah, that's our job, to help them get that job and help them kind of, see past maybe, some of the things that they're doing that they can improve upon. But again, network, and do it in person in addition to online. So many people you probably just haven't thought to tap into that could help you out.
And then on top of that, you never know who you're going to meet, especially at some of those events.
Yes.
Okay. You could meet someone who'd be like, oh my goodness, you know what? I love your personality. I know someone who's hiring over here. Let me go introduce you.
Yes.
Okay. Like, and just remember to be yourself. Okay. But like, definitely, I love doing things in person. That's why I'm in Utah, but Steve decided to stay home today.
Sorry.
Wow, Steve-O.
I spent enough time with her. I needed a break, right?
Seriously, same. I think we flipped a coin on who was going to have the backdrop today. But it's a thing. Being in person, talking to people, keeping in touch with your network. Don't just call someone up every single 8 years when you need a job.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's the whole thing where it's like, actually, like, showcase yourself, show yourself, be genuine.
Show
Just
yourself
be yourself.
off. Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and once something else real quick that's popped in my head, a lot of employers love is the people that are mature will show up for work. They've been in that culture, Kim. You know that they will show up for work. They're not going to just walk away from a job if it doesn't, it's not a culture fit the first day. They're going to work through that. That is something else, stability.
That's a great point, Sharks. All right. So you and I are both Generation X, right? And if your boss told you to go, swing upside down from the Skyway Bridge with no clothes on and make cold calls or whatever, you just did it, right? Because you said, okay, this guy's successful. He knows what he's doing. Okay, I'm going to do this too because I'm being told to do it and it'll yield success, right? So to that point, I think within, if you call it the Boomer generation or Generation X, these are people that are probably going to, if life gets tough or a job gets tough, they're going to persevere and just dig through it and problem solve, because quite honestly, that's really, I guess, the way that we had to kind of grow up through the workforce. So again, that's another added benefit to people, in their, we'll call them upper 40s, 50s, and 60s, right?
Solid like a rock.
Really quick, I want to ask one question before we move into the employer side and help the employer side on this topic. Mm-hmm. There is a common theme that's not often spoken out loud, but certainly it's relevant here. And that is, I'm interviewing this person in front of me and they are more qualified than I am for my job. And they're interviewing for this job as a direct report to me. And so there's this fear and insecurity of young leaders that go, Kim's going to replace me because she's not only is she more experienced than me, but she's got 30 years of that experience over me. And so obviously, that job seeker does not want that person's job, right? They want stability. They want their little four walls that they can control and just crush it and be proud of what they do every single day. They're done climbing the ladder most of the time. Like they're looking for a home, hopefully for the rest of their career. But your inexperienced leaders do not recognize that, and they go, I'm intimidated. So Kim, what do you say to that job seeker? How do they, do they call out the elephant in the room and speak to it? What does a job seeker do in that scenario?
Yeah. What I would do is, okay, so personally, if it's me, I'm looking at it going, I want someone that's heavy duty qualified, that's going to help me do my job, right? I have no fear. I want someone that actually is better than me, right? You want to surround yourself with a cabinet of people, with everyone having their strengths, right? That you can go and draw from, and hopefully those strengths offset your weaknesses as a leader. But to that, I would, in a very polite way, again, address the elephant in the room. Hey, here are my long-term goals. Here are my 5-year goals. I want to be in this role. I want to help this company with their software release. I want to support the team. I have a lot of value to add in terms of maybe training and mentoring and coaching others on the team. But, at this point in my career, this stage of my career, I don't necessarily want a management role. I don't necessarily want a, senior VP role. I'm here to support the team, support the team's endeavors, coach, mentor, train, and achieve results, right? So that's probably how I would approach it, to hopefully set that maybe more inexperienced manager kind of quell their nerves a little bit that they're coming for my job, right? If that's how the person thinks.
I
What do
like
you guys
what
think of that? I would address it in a very polite way. Here are my objectives in coming to work here.
But then also you guys got to figure this. How about praise them? I'm here to enhance your career, enhance your job.
Good.
I'm there to work together with you. You know what? At that point, they're figuring like you're like the ally with them.
Oh yeah, no, if anything, lean into one another, because the thing is like experience, knowledge, all of that. And the thing is like, you want to have like a good cohesive working group, because I have no problem. Like, and Steve and I, we've already talked about this. If I'm going to refer someone, it's going to be someone who I know could replace me, who I know.
Yes.
Because then I know that's someone that I can have, like, we will have similar expectations and we will help one another grow together. And especially if I was interviewing someone, I would be like, wow, I've got questions. May I lean into you? Like, can we talk about this? How would you approach this situation? Or what have you done in the past? And that's where it's like, you got to get the whole ego out. You get out.
Thank you. Get the ego out. Insecurity.
Don't be insecure. Don't be intimidated. Okay.
Right.
Just if you're the interviewer, don't be. And it goes also for the same thing with the candidate.
Yeah. You want to hire people. Yeah, you want to hire people that are actually smarter than you, if you think about it.
100%, Kim. It's like a football team, guys. You want the best players on the field, right?
Exactly.
So workforce too.
So
no matter the age.
A great leader understands that, but there are very few great leaders out there, right? You have the rest that wear the title, and they're not a good leader. And so I really like what both Kim, Richard, Genevieve, what you guys said. It's like, let's call out the elephant in the room. I'm here. Clearly, I'm going to clearly outline my, goals here, what I'd like to do. Let me be your partner in your business. I'm not here to take your job. I don't want your job. I've done that. I know how hard it is, Richard, your job. I've been there, done that. And so maybe I can help you, but by doing my role, but these are my goals here with your company. And this is what would like to accomplish. This is how I can help you. And hopefully for those inexperienced leaders, that puts them a little bit at ease, going, okay, Richard's here just to do his job, to help me. He's not here to take my job.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep. Never have fear. That's the biggest thing. And when you go on vacation, just think you got this other person that's going to fill in for you. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Simple.
Yeah. If you have no bench strength, right, and it's just you, like Charles Atlas, holding up the world of your, of your department or your team or your division, then quite honestly, you're doing a pretty poor job as a leader. That's you're supposed to build that depth, that bench strength of people that not only could take your job one day, to like in terms of what G Money's saying, but also too to be able to go and spread the workload out and again bring different strengths and different nuggets of value to the team as a whole, right?
That's right.
So I would address it. Say, hey, I'm here to add value. I'm here to bring results to you. I'm here to help coach and mentor, as needed. And
I'm bringing protein to your workforce and yourself. Simple as that. And we're both going to muscle it up together. Bam.
I like that.
So let's move onto the employer side here, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the real challenge is at. You've got, your millennial workforce, which is, I think the largest segmentation of the workforce right now. You've got Gen Z. That'll be 30% of the workforce by 2030. And there's a trend of this echo chamber among millennials and Gen Z, where they're hiring like-minded, like-aged people to join their leadership teams. They're not tapping into the experience that's out there because of fear. They don't understand. They're not equipped. They don't have as much as experience. And so let's jump into the employer side on, let's give some great tips on employers, how they can remove their bias and tap into the institutional talent that's out there to really elevate their organization.
So we talked about, when it came to actually interviewing, right? Having more panel interviews with people that have diverse experience and diverse age groups, but also look at your practice, I think, for raises and promotions, right? From an HR perspective, if you're a company, are your practices, are they fair? Are they equitable? Are they merit-based? Based on performance, or are you, promoting somebody because they're a millennial, and the person in that role is millennial, so they're trying to go and promote like type of people. So again, evaluate what's written, like what are your written, policies, rules, and regs for raises, promotions, leading projects, things like that. Do you even have a policy, right? Is it fair? Does it make sense? Is it merit based? So I think that's maybe number one. Number two is, and it was probably 2018 or 2019. Our employer put on a class that talked about various, demographics in the workforce, right? Everywhere from, the folks in their 20s all the way to their 60s. And it was actually eye-opening. It was education, right, of how each different generation thinks and how they approach their job, and how you can say one thing to one generation, they take it one way, and then another one would take it completely differently. And what their expectations are in each age bracket and what they want to get out of work, right? And maybe some of that was stereotypical, but I would say it kind of opened my eyes a little bit, because, at that point, I was managing different types of people, right? Some were older and some were younger. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you guys, I was pulling my hair out when I would have someone who was in their 20s and all they wanted to do was take vacation, right? And I'm like, okay, how do I frame this? How do I, talk about our vacation policy when you've only been here 6 months and you haven't really contributed all that much yet, but just really understanding their mindset and being educated on the different demographics helped me to understand them better and have better conversations. So that long dissertation there is, I think that organizations should invest in, it doesn't have to be expensive, someone that can come in and talk about the different generations. So each generation comes from a point of understanding of the ones that are younger and older of it. Does that make sense? Is it really
100%, Kim? And I'm just elaborate about this, but like the Gen X, they could be the mentors for everybody else coming in. They're your supervisors. They're the ones they can relate to the young crowd. I'm going to tell you what, when you put a Gen X and you put somebody who just got out of college together, they hit right together. Sometimes that person wants to learn and ask stories in the lunchroom and tell me war stories. So just saying that they will butt heads, no way. If a company can put them both together, these Gen X's could be mentors and just bloom your company, and then they retire. And guess what? Your young workforce is already educated from them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And plus, too, there needs to be a mindset culture among the organization. And okay, so obviously, hey, we have a zero tolerance, right, for ageism or the comments, guys. Where I've been my whole life, I've heard the comments about people that were in the workforce that were older than me. Oh God, he requires a bunch of Post-it notes to remember stuff. I've heard those comments that have been made about people. And let's face it, guys, you wouldn't say that like, let's say somebody was, had blonde hair, or they had, short, spiky hair. Oh God, he's stupid. He's got spiky hair. Oh God, she's stupid. She's got blonde hair. Things like that would never.
Time out.
They would never.
Are you being biased here? Did I just hear spiky hair?
So why is it allowed, or why is it okay to have jokes and comments made at the water cooler that because some guy's a baby boomer, that he's slow, that he's stupid, that he's, senile, that he's, oh God, why is that acceptable? So we kind of need to start with, I think, the whole culture too, of like, hey guys, comments like this, thoughts like this, it's not acceptable. It's no more acceptable than saying people with blonde hair are stupid, right? So, I mean, there's a component of that it's been allowed in the culture, I think. It's the last acceptable form of discrimination in the workforce, I think.
Yeah, well, people think I'm smart because of the glasses. Same thing with Steven.
It's all look.
No, but the thing is, there are those different terms. And no, I think that's great. It's like, hey, we need to go take a look at our actual company culture and make sure that people know, hey, that's not acceptable. You can't go and identify someone because of the way how they look or their age or anything else. Because once
But
again, that goes
it
all
happens
the
all
way
the
into
time. And
EEOC guidelines. And then no, hair discrimination is a huge thing as well. Like I know people who have not been able to get jobs or they have been yelled at because they wore their hair in a natural style.
okay, so here's a
And
story. You
other
guys
people
ready for
made the
this?
comment of, oh, they're a mess. I can't believe they didn't bother putting themselves together. You got to remove all of that.
100%. Okay, true story. I got to tell you this. Back in 2008, I had highlighted hair for 10 years, like Backstreet Boys. When I put my hair back to my natural color, my sales went up 300%. Same company, same thing.
Wow.
People was taking, the blonde highlighted hair, frosted tips, whatever you want to call it, making it. People judged you on that. You go in for a sell, they're like, oh, here's a pretty boy. But when you go back to your natural color, they took you more serious. It's a proven fact, G-Money.
So, Kim, I really like what you mentioned earlier about it's got to be in your policies, right? Only 8% of US-based companies have an actual age diversity policy. Only 8%, right? But here's the interesting thing is you've got to establish policies that take any bias away. So one example is pay bands, right? You'll find with companies, you have one person making a lot more than the other, and there's no correlation, but then you start connecting the dots and you're like, wow, all of our females make less than our males in the same roles. And it wasn't intentional. It was just an internal bias. And so you establish a pay band for every role based on, scope of responsibility and your experience and what the market's telling you. And so you have this range, and based on their experience and the scope of work, they're going to be somewhere in that range. And that removes a lot of that age bias and that discriminatory practice.
Yeah. You're right. Process and structure usually will set you free, right? So as a company, in your HR department, if you don't have something in place that's, hey, here are the salary bands, here's, structure around that, you open yourself up, and G-Money hit on earlier, you open yourself up to potential lawsuits, right? So have a policy, have something written if you don't. And obviously you can engage, there's employment law firms that can help you, right? There's HR professionals that are very, very good at it. Obviously, I'm not an HR person, so but there are people that know how to do this. And guys, there is that Age Discrimination and Employment Act that was enacted in 1967 that says, hey, you're not going to discriminate on anyone on the basis of age that's over 40, right? So to that point, you open yourself up. You're opening yourself up to a lot of exposure if you don't have written policies in place about how you hire, what you pay, and then how you get promoted, right? It's worth the time, worth the effort as a company to do it, and then to follow it, right? And then start to push it through as your culture in terms of educating people about, the different generations and different demographics and how they work, how they function, how to communicate and approach both, right? Really helped me. And I was, my company didn't spend a lot of money on it. They had somebody that knew it and they brought them in. It was probably like a 3-4 hour segment. I'm like, oh, well, I never knew that about millennials. Oh, it was eye-opening to me, right? So,
yeah.
No, I love that. I love that approach. Written policies, processes, and structure in place. Have those established. And the fact that there's only 8% of age diversity policy, or only 8% of companies have age diversity policies.
That's sad.
Yeah, no, that needs to be increased. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Stephen.
And true. Genevieve, you mentioned this earlier, I believe, but the biases aren't just confined to, more mature and seasoned workers. Gen Z faces its own stereotypes. More than 45% say it's harder to stand out in today's job market.
Yeah.
And, intentional or not, 78% report being ghosted by employers. So, and then you got Gen X that's sandwiched between millennials and boomers, and they find themselves sometimes just stuck
in a similar situation.
Right. And so, this, in short, this ageism timeline shows that both that, it ends at the age spectrum, lost my thought there, but
this is what happens when we're up this early.
There's just this age spectrum that's
courtesy of Kim Henderson
from hiring and promotions, And, despite these challenges, there's a clear economic case for change, and older workers, more mature workers, want to stay relevant. They're willing to learn new skills. 92% of them, according to a Forbes survey, say they want to learn new skills. The ones that are, 50 years or older, but only half of those employees have been actually offered training, compared to your younger generations of Gen Z to millennials. So we got to fix that as employers.
Yeah. And Steve, to put a bow on it when it comes to this, again, I said 34% of the workforce is 50 and over. That's up from 24% in the year 2000. It's not going away, right? You've got people that have made it into their 60s. And we talked about in one of our shows about, consumer debt being up. People are working longer. It's just the nature of the fact that people are working well into their 60s these days for the most part, in a lot of cases. And so, these individuals are not going to leave the workforce. We really do need to, work on a way where everyone can shine in the workforce and multiple generations can kind of work side by side. But it will take, I think, again, some time, some education, and better communication. And on the candidate side, I'd say, hey guys, please don't think you're a victim, right? Move past that.
Thank you.
A victim. We talked about things that you can do from your resume to highlighting achievements and showing results, not just responsibilities, focusing on the last 15 years, getting out there and networking. And again, constantly improving your skills, right? I had a professor that said to me one time, it stuck in my mind. He said, hey guys, this is not all there is in the world to learn. If you fail to continue to make learning a lifelong journey, he said, you will become a dinosaur. Make learning a lifelong journey. Don't become that dinosaur, because the moment you quit, guys, you will get passed up, right? Whatever you do, go out there and increase your skills.
And so that's like one of those things, like both on the employer side and on the candidate side, think of it as on the candidate side, think of it as an investment in yourself.
Yes.
Okay. But also on the employer side, think about it as an investment, like to offer these trainings for the company. Like that's the first word that comes to mind. Investment in yourself, but also an investment in the growth of the actual company. Like
Amen, GB.
Yep.
You hit it.
It's so true. But guys, we got to do facts. A lot of companies don't want to invest. They want it now. And that's the thing is, though, the long term, they're like, well, you know what? We want the profit right now. I think the biggest thing that I take away from all this, guys, is actually staffing firms. You see where there's an opening here where you can go in and educate the companies about the diverse workforce they should have. And I think you would get a contract if you put this all together like we talked about today and package it up. I always say this. I'm going to sum it up like this. Energy beats experience when you package it the right way. I'm going to tell you what, if you have energy and like a spunk, and swag, go in there with that interview. I think you can crush it.
Yeah. And you said, I love what you said. It's our job as staffing recruiting professionals to educate the client, right? We have to educate, be consultative. Reminds me one time I sent a guy out on an interview. He was probably in his 50s, and the hiring manager picks up the phone. He calls me, guys, this is probably like, I don't know, 2015, wasn't 100 years ago. And he calls me, he goes, Kim, he goes, what part of young, hot, and female, what box did that guy check out of those three criteria? And I was like, oh my God. I said, now our job is to send you the most qualified individual. This individual can do the work. Here are the skills that he has. Here's his accomplishments. I mean, we're violating laws if we only send you young, hot females. I go, I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth. You should not be saying that. You can put yourself in a lot of trouble, But do you believe someone actually said that to me when I sent a middle-aged guy out on an interview? The client came back.
It still happens to this day, here in West Virginia. I shouldn't say about this state or Pennsylvania. Anywhere I've been, it's still, they said, send me these kind of people. And I'm like, can't do it. I usually at that point, I will actually drop the client, to be honest with you, because I'm not going to be that way. Like Planet Fitness says, no judgment zone, love all.
Yep.
Yeah. Educate your client that you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. It's our job to send you the qualified applicants, that can do the job regardless of, sex or age or race, etc.
All right. Well, this has been such a dynamic conversation. Kim, you've been our compass through this whole thing, our guide. Thank you. Richard, you're always bringing that energy. John Viev's always keeping me in line. Before we end this, let's spend a couple of minutes talking about next week. A few of us are going to be over at the Aviante Connect conference. I believe Richard, you're there. John Viev and I are going to be there, hosting the Staffing Playbook podcast. Kim, I think you're skipping this one. You got another one to go to?
I won't be at this, but I will be at TempNet, and in your area, Park City, Utah, September 17th through the 19th. Going to be a great one. TempNet is awesome. So if anyone's in the Utah area, sign up, head to their annual fall conference in beautiful Park City.
Go track down Kim Henderson at TempNet. I certainly am. I'm going to stalk her and be like, Kim.
I don't know if I can be away from my dogs any longer.
Throw you in there, and we're going to go and have a drink. But Richard, what are you going to be doing at Aviante Connect for people that are?
It's exciting. Actually, I'm going to be the hype guy and do a lot of the media. So one-on-one interviews with attendees, speakers, anybody on the team. So we're going to bring like a TMZ hype to the whole event. So I'm excited for the 3 days to just be there. Talk to people, interview people. We know what's going on, with Aviante right now. And our prayers are with the whole family there, losing their CEO, Russia. But, at the end of the day, we're going to have this event's going to be for him and to, cherish everything that he's done in the amazing years that, he's been with Aviante and beyond. So please come out. There's still time to register too, by the way. That. Get on Aviante Connect site. We can put it here in the link here. Still time to register. It's free to come. All you have to do is get your airfare or your hotel. That's it. Get a Greyhound bus. Come on down. Let's do
Greyhound bus. Those exist.
they still exist? I don't know.
I don't know. Did they drive there? Like, when's the last time anyone took a Greyhound?
I don't know. But John Viev and I, we're going to be there. Similar to Richard, we're open invite to guests, to speakers, and to vendors. We're going to make a big event out of it. But more importantly, if you want to get to know us, the three of us that'll be there, just come over and say hi. And the first 10 people that say they watched the podcast, they're going to get a Staffing Playbook.
There it is.
T-shirt. All I have is mediums right now. So if it doesn't fit, give it to a friend or a colleague.
Or the shark, right?
Or the shark.
First thing he's going to do is take a pair of scissors to it. Cut off the sleeves or something, right? No, but like seriously, we look forward to seeing you all.
Yes.
Come and just come say hi. Listen, I have never met a stranger. The shark may bite. Steven, I'm just gonna be like, come on, Steven. We're gonna say hi. There's a little puppet motion. No, we can't wait to meet everyone out there.
And this event is one, I'm going to tell you straight up, this event, like I said last week on the tailgate, that actually it's incredible. It's like a family of probably 500 to 600 people. And we're just going to everybody has the same common interest. They all probably use a Aviante, 99.9% of them. But at the end of the day, we're here for one thing, to make our industry better. And that's what it's about. I mean, when you hear the technology and the user-based stuff that's going on through this, and then all the sponsors and all the booths and all that stuff and the vendors, I mean, this is one of the events of the year. Kim, too bad you can't make it, but this is, I get excited. Go to Minnesota and be excited in going to Minnesota. That tells you all about it.
Hey, Kim, I've got an extra bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
Or a bed in my bedroom. Okay. Come on. Just come on out.
Yeah, you guys are going to have a ball. Oh my God. I want pictures. I want video. Hey, wait, but is everybody going to be at Staffing World October 6th?
Yes.
Can we all meet there?
Yes. Yes. And
all right. We're
going to be celebrating my birthday too while we're there. Okay.
All right.
Because my birthday's on the 2nd. So it's because I'm flying in on the 5th. So I better see all of you.
We're there.
Staffing World's going to be a hoot. I'm actually going to be a guest on a podcast, and they're going to take me on the boat to do the interview. How about that?
Where's my invite?
You can come if you want. Everybody can come. Come on, Steve.
Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been a great discussion. We're going to continue as long as we can, having Richard and Kim here every other week until they get sick of us, or we get sick of them, or they're sick of each other. But great topic today. Really powerful conversation. Thank you, Kim, for making this happen. And we'll see everybody that's going to Aviante Connect next week. And then hopefully we can get the four of us back the week after for another episode.
Stay safe, my peeps.
All
Bye,
right.
guys. Have fun.
Have
Take
a
care.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.